Now, in this question says that you might have noted when copper powder is heated in a china dish, the surface of the copper powder becomes coated with black colored substance. Now you can see the reaction over here that copper, which is brown in color, right? As of now, this is copper and copper is, its color is brown. And when it is heated strongly in the presence of air, it turns what? Black. This is because of formation of a black coating over it, right? So let's understand the reaction over here. The reaction takes place over here is what? This copper metal, when it is heated strongly in the presence of air, it reacts with oxygen to form copper oxide. This is CuO. And this is what? This is brown color. It turns black due to the formation of a layer of copper oxide. Now, what are the questions followed by this? In the first part, they're asking, how has the black colored substances formed? Right, this is due to the formation of a layer of copper oxide. And what is that black substance? Again, the answer remains the same, copper oxide. Last part is right, we have to write down the chemical reaction involved. Well, I've written the chemical reaction, it's just that the balancing is needed over here. We can see that copper is balanced, but oxygen is 2. So I should write 2 over here. That makes 2 oxygen, but then I have to write 2 over here to balance the number of copper atoms. Well, this should be the final answer. In this question, it says combustion of coke is a combination reaction. Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. Then why combustion of coke is harmful? So what you know that let's understand first the reaction. Coke is what? Coke is a pure form of carbon. So when it reacts with oxygen, when we burn it, reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. Now this carbon dioxide is not a toxic gas. When inhaled, it does not cause us any respiratory problem. Then why we consider this to be harmful? Well, this is because of carbon dioxide is a greenhouse, right? And it causes global warming. It's a greenhouse gas. That means it actually absorbs the heat and increases the temperature of the earth. And that is the reason why we consider this to be a harmful gas. Now coming to the next question. When I see the next, it says which of the following, which reaction followed by two combination reaction are involved in whitewashing? So let's begin with the two combination reactions. So calcium when reacts with oxygen to form calcium oxide. Now, as you can see, a single product is formed over here. So it's a combination. Now, followed by this, when calcium oxide, that is quicklime, is added to water, it results to the formation of slaked lime, that is calcium hydroxide. Now, here too, it is a combination reaction. As you can see that a single product is formed. Now, what happens that when this calcium hydroxide, that is, this is slaked lime, right? So when it is applied on the walls, what happens? It slowly reacts with carbon dioxide present in the air to form a layer of calcium carbonate, CaCO3. This calcium carbonate is produced and water is released. Now check here, this calcium carbonate is responsible to give a shiny finish to the wall. So we can write down the reaction. These are the two combination reaction followed by this reaction which is used in whitewashing. Now there is one more question. It says how photochemical reaction have played an important role in photography. So what is photochemical reaction? So let's understand. Photochemical reaction is a reaction which is carried by light. That means here light is needed for the reaction to proceed. So if I write down the reaction over here, there are two such reactions. Let's begin with the AgCl. So this silver chloride, when it is exposed to sunlight, when it is exposed to sunlight, it produces silver and chlorine gas. So this is a decomposition reaction, that is, this is a decomposition reaction carried by light. That's why it's called photochemical reaction. And this reaction is used in black and white photography. So we may write these points for answering this question. In this question, it says, which of the following reaction is characterized by yellow color product? That means we have these as the products, in fact, and there are four such options given over here. We have to identify one such product which is yellow in color. So what you have to remember for class 10th chemistry, you have to remember about two compound, which is one is lead oxide, and there is one more that is lead iodide, that is PbI2, right? These two compounds are yellow in color. So over here it's an MCQ and we have to identify one such reaction where the product so formed is yellow in color. So we'll go for option A in this case. In this assertion reason based question from the chapter chemical reaction and equation, if you see the assertion, it says the balancing of a chemical reaction is based on law of conservation of mass. And the reason says that the total mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. Now, if I look into the textbook, what does textbook says over here? That first of all, they have defined what is law of conservation of mass. So according to this law, mass can neither be created nor be destroyed in a chemical reaction. Further, it also says that the total mass, that is the total mass of the elements present in the product of a chemical reaction, has to be equal to the total mass of the elements present in the reactant. So what you can see that if I say, for example, write a chemical reaction over here, so you'll find that the sum of the masses of a reactant, right? It includes all the masses, like masses of three atoms and of iron plus the masses of four molecules of oxygen has to be, you may if you may add, and you'll find that it is equal to sum of the masses of all the elements present in the product. So we can say therefore is an assertion is correct and reason is also the correct explanation. In that case, option A will be correct. That is, both assertion and reason are true and is the correct explanation. In this question, it says in the reaction of iron with copper sulfate solution. So what we know that iron when react with copper sulfate solution to give iron sulfate solution and copper is displaced. But what is the question over here is which option in the given table correctly represents the substance oxidized and the reducing agent. So we have to find this substance oxidized and the reducing agent. Now, first of all, we can see here that iron is gaining oxygen to form iron sulfate, right? Oxygen is added over here. So clearly, substance oxidized will be iron, right? Now, which is reduced here? Clearly, copper sulfate is reduced. And this is very important to understand that the substance reduced, right? Substance reduced act as an oxidizing agent and the substance oxidized act as a reducing agent. One more time. The substance oxidized, right? This is the substance getting oxidized. It acts as a reducing agent. It acts as a reducing agent. And the substance getting reduced act as an oxidizing agent. So if you look into the question once again, we have to find the substance oxidized and the reducing agent. Well, here iron is the answer for both part because this is the substance getting oxidized and the substance oxidized always act as a reducing agent. So we'll say that option A is correct. Well, this is the correct option in this case. So in this question, a figure is given over here. We are indicated an iron nail and there's a copper sulfate solution. And then what we can see that the iron nail is dipped into it and there is a change in color. And there is a change in color of the iron, not only iron nail, the reaction mixture. Now, what is the question over here? If I read it, it says what changes in the color of iron nail and copper sulfate solution do we observe after keeping the iron nail dipped into the copper sulfate solution for about 20 minutes. Now, for that, we should first of all write down the reaction involved over here. So what we know that iron this iron nail when it is dipped into copper sulfate solution. Copper sulfate solution is blue in color, right? So a reaction takes place in which the iron nail, as you can see over here, that iron being more reactive than copper, it will displace copper from the sulfate solution, and that's why iron sulfate solution is formed. And iron sulfate solution, its color is pale green. So the first thing that we can observe that the change in color of the solution will be from blue. It is copper sulfate was blue. Now it will turn green, pale green in fact, due to the formation of iron sulfate solution. Now, why do we see brown deposit? Why do we see brown deposit on the iron nail? Well, you know that the copper so released during the reaction, right? This product so formed or the substance released over here will get deposited on the iron nail, and that's why the iron nail turns brown. Now, why does the copper, the next part is why does the blue color of the copper sulfate fade by adding iron nail? So the clear is we just need to write down that iron is more reactive than copper, so it displaces copper and a new product called iron sulfate is formed over here. The later part says write down the chemical reaction involved. Yeah, we have written and name the type of reaction. Well, clearly it is a displacement reaction. And why displacement is, as you can see, that iron being more reactive displaces copper from its salt solution to form iron sulfate, and copper is displaced. That's what we will be writing here.